closer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, knowing that there are a third of the cases in the county in one zip code, that it could possibly be in Prichard, does that concern you?
Certainly it
when you see
concerns
that data?
me, not only from that perspective, regardless, because the coronavirus don't know zip codes. So it doesn't matter so much as the zip codes themselves, but the community being affected by this coronavirus. Let me say that how important it is for the citizens and others to take responsibility to doing what's appropriate, regardless of what zip code you're in, and that will save lives by itself. You know, we need to take a greater responsibility even from the federal level in terms of how we're dealing with this, because there's extra burden that's being placed on the city. I just believe in order to deal with it, regardless of zip codes, is that from the federal government needs to do a stay-at-home order for whatever the length of time it's going to be, 14 days, 21 days, as a nation, because it's burdened cities all over this place, from Atlanta, Detroit, Michigan. I'm seeing some of the same thing that took place here in this city, over all of these places, in Mobile, for that matter, and other cities in and around Mobile County. And so, whose the responsibility is being pushed on is the city and its resources just trying to contain these kind of situations. Yes, I am. And as you know, in communities where population is the majority is minorities, they are being affected 3 times as much and 6 times the rate of death of others. That's serious business. And so we need to take responsibility. But our families, our people need to take responsibility in making sure that their family members, their sons, their daughters, their mothers, their sisters, their brothers are not out here in that way. And so that we are protected regardless of your zip code. So yes, I am greatly concerned because people in many of these areas where the population is the majority, is minorities, are not being tested anyway. And because of lack of test kits, other things that are needed in order to perform these tests, it's important that we get a better grip on what that looks like and how we're going to be able to handle this as we roll out through the weeks to come.
Are you aware of any are you aware of any areas in the city where maybe there are more cases? Has the health department communicated to you that you might have an area where they're seeing more cases, and that might help you from an enforcement standpoint?
Well, actually, the same information that's being shared with you is the same information basically that I get as well. The 366 zip code, which does not necessarily say a whole lot other than the general area in Mobile County that it may be. Certainly, it would probably be helpful to know that so we can have an even stronger containment as it relates to this coronavirus and the areas in which it may exist in. And that's another part that I'm sharing, why it's so important that we have, from a national level, a sense of containment by having the stay-at-home order put into place on a national level so that we all operating on the same playing field and keeping it level in that sense. We got to do this.
But would you like to see more information shared from health officials just so it can help you, if it is in your city, just so that you can better respond to the situation?
Yeah, as I said before, I think it would be a great help. The more you know, the more you can act and put things in place that would assist in dealing with this. But as you know, I'm going to go back to the testing process. You know, some of these situations is non-symptomatic, right? And one of the requirements in the testing process is to have certain symptoms. And then going to the doctor, and then the doctor referring you even further than that. All right? And so many people are being missed, whether or not they have the ability to pay for it. They have health insurance, and a lot of other things are factors in all of this. But we got to get a better grip, once again, on how we're looking at this and how we're getting information out to the public and how the public is responding themselves. This is coronavirus. This is serious business. I've had several friends now to die here in the Mobile County area, personal friends. And we just can't continue along this path and look at this thing as if it's something to play with. Our young folks, you can't play with this. Older folks, you can't play with it either. More importantly, you can't, because you're the most vulnerable folks in the community. But what really bothers me even further than that is that the criteria that we have in terms of the enforcement end of this. If you go to a large box store, small box store, the drugstore, you have people who are working in these places with no gloves, no masks. You have people coming in with no gloves and masks. I certainly believe if a place is not operating with gloves and masks, we ought to be able to shut them down, period. And then if you allow folks to come in the store and they're not having gloves and masks on, then they should not be allowed to come into the store and you provide services to them. We got to get a better grip than what we have.
Okay, and I know Rich is going to talk to you more about enforcement just in light of what happened Saturday, but is there anything else that you want to comment on what we might be seeing from Prichard just in response to crowds gathering and enforcement?
Well, I personally, I'd like to take it to a different level. Really, I think we got to have better enforcement tools in terms of what we have. There's 3 prongs now. One, what you do is to push folks on to get them out of an area. 2, you can write these citations and fines and so forth. And thirdly, an arrest, right? But I think we need to go a little bit further than that. In this city, and I'll be discussing it with the chief and the council as it relates to it, if you hear, what I want to see happen is that if we drive up on you, you're there, we're going to take your driver's license and your vehicle and tow it away and get your attention. If you think that we're playing about what's happening in this city, we got to have stronger measures in dealing with folks who just want to violate and put themselves at risk and put the public at risk. And that's where I am.
Okay. I'll let it sounds like. Yeah, sure. So the information that you get in terms of where are cases, do you have any general idea of how many cases are in Prichard, or you just have the same data that we do?
I have the same data that you
broken down by
have,
zip
a general view.
Does any zip code in Prichard have more than 20,000 people in it?
No, the 3 zip codes that are here in this city, you know, the entire city is about 23 to 25,000 citizens in
Total.
its entirety.
Right, so it's all broken up into 3 zip codes. You're not going to have one zip code in Prichard with more than 20,000 people in it.
Not.
And then there's zip codes in downtown Mobile, and I think maybe Crichton,
same situation.
366, and they're not more than 20,000 people. So you're looking at, a pretty big area where you could have a third of the cases of the people in this one little zip code.
And most of those concentration, as you speak to that, are places like Tomerville, Crichton, and so forth, Plateau, Magazine Point, here in Prichard, Trinity Garden, those places. You probably will find that you're not going to have those numbers to meet that criteria.
Do you? It's just a guess. Do you think that 366 zip code is in your city, or do you think it is Mobile? Do you have any kind of way to?
Now, 366 is a number of places or communities within a city. As I just said, for instance, Mobile, you got Tomerville, Crichton,
right,
and what have you, all 366, from 3667 to 36607, right? And here from 36610, 11, and 12, and 13 as well.
Right. So really no
way.
No way
There's
to know.
no way. And the other part is until we start looking at collecting this data in a different way than we do. For instance, because of the criteria that's set forth in order to be looked at in terms of whether or not you could or could not have it. Until we change that, so people who may not be who may be non-symptomatic are able to be checked, then those numbers are going to grow even further than that.
I guess it would be fair to say that you wish that health officials would give you more information, maybe on a street level, like where in my city are there cases, so we can monitor. Is that fair to say you would like to? You would like more details?
I think it would certainly be a help for all of us. This city and any other city with mayor. Now we have a great relationship in terms of working with the health department and what they're doing, and Dr. ISO in terms of what they're doing across the board. But as you just said, the more information we have, the better we're able to attack whatever those concerns and issues are, with a better understanding of resources and direction as it relates to it. And so yes, I would certainly agree with that.
Okay. Rachel's going to ask you some other questions kind of in the same vein, but thank you for your time.
No, absolutely. Thank you.
Cute.
Hey, man.
How are you, dear?
Good.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for...
Oh, yeah. No, I'm trying.
Yes. Thank you.
Keep them in.
Yeah, it really is. But thank you for getting out and serving the public and what have you, all you guys, because we all on the front line as well. And just trying to get the information out to the public, so that's so important for that to happen, particularly so the public can really understand what's really taking place. Some folks don't really understand, and of course they're on the outside looking in and trying to really want to understand, and we're just not getting there.
Yeah.
We're not.
I know. We're basically, so we're doing two separate stories. She's focusing on like zip codes and everything. I want to focus on this weekend. I covered it this weekend. The block party is just everybody out there, and we're just going to talk about social distancing, like we were talking about the importance of it. You know, our people are dying over this, and we need to take this serious.
And I don't know where they come up with the language of block party so much as people getting in a place and concentrating in a place, going to a business, the food service business, and saying it's a block party versus what it really is, and that is those who decide to gather at those locations, go to this food place, looking for a place to engage, and which is absolutely wrong. But I would tell you this before we go on camera. As I go around the entire Mobile County, and I look at the big block stores and the smaller ones, the drugstore, and just other smaller stores, mom and pop stores. And when you go in there, you can go into Walmarts and the Exos, and we don't have it, whatever, CVS. And you can go in these stores, the people who are working there without face masks, without gloves on, Lowe's and Home Depot with no gloves and no mask on, serving the public and then allowing people to come into those places the same way. We got to have some stronger things put into place to deal with that. Because if that was concerning you about what took place, then these other places really should concern us, because we're spending a great amount of time in these places under those conditions. And they need to change. And who's responsible for seeing that? We need to have to come down from the national level for that 2 weeks to 3 weeks, or however long it's going to be for stay-at-home order, so that the whole country can be on the same playing field together. Otherwise, it's killing the resources of the city. And it's only going to get worse over time go by.
Now,
but I'm ready.
Do you want the same background that they had, or do you want to switch it up? Yeah,
I just don't want the bright light.
Try to make it a little different. I know you like to say it.
I just don't want shade being bright behind it.
Let's see.
Let's go this way.
I go this.
Yeah, let's shoot this way.
Nation shout out. Thank you for giving us the interview too earlier in the day. I just appreciate it.
We want to.
Yep. All right, you ready?
Yes.
So I'm holding the microphone. Yeah, back here. First, let's just address what happened over the weekend.
Well, it's obvious that a group of our young folks saw fit to violate all of the ordinances from the federal to the state and local level as it relates to it. Let me tell you, that's irresponsible when it comes to that. You are affecting not only yourself, but the lives of others by the actions that you're taking in this community. And I'm telling you right now, we're not going to tolerate it. I will be speaking with the chief of police as well as the other council members. I want to get to the point where we will converge upon you. If you choose to do this, we will take your driver's license and the vehicle in which you're driving. That's going to be my conversation with the chief and the other council members, because this kind of foolishness should not be tolerated and will not be tolerated here in this city.
Talk about too, taking away our resources. There was a lot of officers out there over the weekend.
Yes, it is, and it's really folks that really need us to respond to them in other matters. When that happens, you have the number of officers that we had that needed to get out there to take control of that situation. They really pull heavily on the resources of the city. And then you have folks in overtime that come in to actually assist in manning that particular situation. And then you get where you're pushing this group out and they're leaving this place, going to another place, creating the same situation in a subsequent third place, same situation. That's foolishness. It should not be tolerated. And I'm telling you, as moms and dads and sisters and brothers and aunts and uncles and cousins, these are our family members, and you need to take charge of where we are and telling them they need to stay their butt at home, right? And do what's right, because they're affecting themselves and others in this city. And it's our responsibility as parents to make sure that we know where our kids are, we know what they're doing, and we know that they're being responsible. This is nothing to play with. This is no joking matter. People are dying. I had 5 of my friends to die over the last 2 weeks, who before now was perfectly healthy. This is nothing to play with, folks. And we're gonna do everything that we can so that we bring you to bear when you out here being foolish about your action and what you're doing. And then we'll see what happens when we take your driver's license, take your car, or incarcerate you for your foolishness.
It looked like I saw there were a couple of tow trucks out there last night. What were the police doing?
Enforcing what we have as rules as it relates to it. But you know, really, it's a drain on the resources. We shouldn't have to do that. I mean, just common sense should tell us this is serious business that we're dealing with in this city. Not only in this city, across this entire nation. You know, as I looked and I looked at some of the other major cities where they have the same kind of issues in communities, a minority that looks like me. That's what I'm saying to you. Right? And so where we are actually finding ourselves being affected 3 times as much as others and 6 times at the rate of death as others, it ought to hit home with you. You ought to understand how serious that is. You can take that for granted if you like, but when you go home and your mama's dead, your dad is dead, your sister, your brother, then you're going to better understand how serious this matter really is, right? And so I'm saying to the public, these are our family members that are on this street. We should take some responsibility in ensuring that making sure that they are out these streets and doing what's right and taking responsibility to their action or their failed action to follow the rules.
Also, I was going to bring up Metro. You know, Metro, right now, the policy that they're having right now, if you have a misdemeanor, they're not really taking people to Metro because of COVID-19. It's in our jails. So it kind of makes it a little more difficult for the police, if you want to touch on that.
Well, you know, and that's unfortunate. You know, our sheriff have had to deal with the jail situation for some time and the crowdedness of the jail with other crimes of felonies and those kinds of things. Right? But that being what it is, we still have to find other measures to deal with those who fail to follow directions. That's why I believe if we can get where we can take the driver's license, take the vehicle in which they're driving from it'll get their attention right away. Right? Without a doubt, without hesitation. You'll find that they're not going to pull up in their cars and find themselves in a parking lot hid in the woods somewhere, because I don't care where you're hiding at. If we find you, we come, we're going to lock it down, and we're going to take your car, and we're going to take your driver's license, and then see how you operate at that point. Because I think we have to take these kinds of measures to make sure that our city is protected and the citizens are protected. Whether you want to be responsible or not, we need to be responsible. But I'm going to say to the family once again, we need to take responsibility too. But there are a lot of us who care, who have pride about where we live and what we're seeing that's happening in our community, right? And quit pointing your fingers at other folks, and rather than dealing with those who are violating what the rules are, what the ordinances are, what the orders are. That's who we need to be addressing, right? Because the drain on this resource of the city is the drain on it, because we got to respond to that foolishness. And this needs to stop. And I'm going to do all that I can to make sure that it stops.
So you guys are implementing stricter rules now, because last night, there weren't any citations issued, no arrests made, right?
That's correct. But again, because of some of the things you just shared, right? And I don't want to personally get into the specifics of those things, but just understanding the overcrowdedness of where we are in our correctional system. But we still have to have other measures. And the last thing I would say is that it is past time for our president of these United States to do an order to stay at home across this entire nation so that the playing field can be level. That's the only way we're going to get back to where we need it. We got to have a level playing field, right, in this matter. And so before we start turning people back to the schools, back out into the public to work and whatever else, we gotta get this thing contained. And we don't know how concentrated it is anywhere, because the criteria for testing is just have too many parts to it about who can, and in situations where they're non-symptomatic, and then you can't be tested, right? But you can be a carrier, spreading it out, spreading it wherever. And then you got others. I got a fever, I got a headache. problem with breathing. All that's great, and I think that's a part of it. But we got to get a better way of testing folks. We got to get more tests in these cities, particularly in the minority areas. Particularly because what it's showing right now that in areas where the population, the greatest part of the population is minorities, right? We're actually being affected 3 times the rate, 6 times the rate of death of others. Folks, that ought to hit home. That ought to hit home. So you can take this matter and not take responsibility to it, but it's going to result in death that could have been avoided by you just staying home and doing what's right.
Okay, I know this is a long interview, but I got just a couple more questions.
Sure.
We mentioned the resources, puts a strain on your resources. Are you guys implementing the hazard pay currently? You know, you mentioned overtime, so.
No, at this point, what I did early on was to make sure that the Mobile County Personnel Board voted on us having a hazard pay. That has been done. Now I'm working with council to what that should look like, and when will it be implemented, and whether it be retro paid back at a later point, whatever those things are. But I want to make sure that my public safety folks, sanitation, fire, police, that they are paid with hazard pay because they're out here on the front line, just like that situation over the weekend, and being exposed to all of these situations. And they should be getting paid for the service in which they provide. Yes, they're public servant, but this is a step further as it relates to just like our healthcare folks. They should be some hazard paid for them as well, and what have you. And so let's not take it for granted that just because it's their profession that they should be doing their work, but we should look for every means to give them that added assistance. They have been taken away from their families. Well, they're exposing their families because they're out here every day, and so we should recognize the need for hazard pay.
And lastly, us Mobile County Commissioners, they voted to reduce hazard pay from time and a half, it was 50% down to 10%. What percent are you guys looking at?
Look, I think that's a conversation that I'll be having with council. At the end of the day, it wouldn't bother me if it ended up just paying them bonuses when it's all said and done. Or we're looking at how much is there in hazard pay that we need to pay, and looking at it from that perspective. But I think we got to sit down and make sure that we've done all the number crunching and making sure that we're not overwhelming the city in that way. But I will do all that I can to make sure that they are compensated with hazard pay of some kind when this is all said and done.
Anything we missed?
No, I just want to say this to our citizens. Look, folks, this coronavirus is a serious situation. And our family members who are out here, I'm asking you to help me, to help you, to help us to make sure that we know where they are, and that we are making sure that they're home when required to be there, and they're not engaging in the kind of things that they did on Saturday. It takes all of us to get this done by working together. And we're going to be stronger together than we're ever going to be apart. So right now I'm asking you, please help us to help you.
You said something earlier about you with 5 people that are friends of yours.
Yes.
That have passed away from this virus.
Yes.
You're human just like we all are. How does that affect you? I mean, that's got to be, I can't say that about myself. It hasn't hit me like that, but.
As a law enforcement officer myself, professional law enforcement officer, you think you've seen it all, you think you've heard it all, but when you're sitting and watching the activities that are taking place through this coronavirus, and you have friends and family who's perfectly healthy, that's not dying, yes, it affects you. I mean, it gets you deep in your soul when you know that your friend has died because of this coronavirus business. And it affects you every day. It affects me every day. I go home, and I want to sleep like everyone else, but I can't even go to sleep thinking about this stuff. And it affects me just that much. When it gets to the point you got to take a pill to go to sleep because you're thinking about it, you can't get it out of your brain, you can't get it out of your soul, out of your heart, out of your spirit. It has great impact on me, and it has on me. But I promise to stay in the fight with this. And all my friends and family, my heart goes out to all of you. You know who you are. My heart goes out to you, and I pray for the family who was unable to get to the hospital to spend time with their loved one, knowing that they were dying. And this is the kind of stuff that I'm telling you young folk. You don't want this. You don't want to find yourself that you were out here in the street and you took this home to your family and your family started dying. So I beg you, please, pay attention, follow the orders as they've been given. God bless all of us. Thank you. God bless you.
Elbow bump.
God bless you.
Yeah, that was one question that we kept getting is why weren't any citations issued and all of that.
Yeah, at the end of the day, what is going on? You can't incarcerate.
That's it for us, y'all. Big y'all, J45. Big y'all, J45 Live Morning Show.
Need the news before the news.
Yeah, hope y'all know what I'm saying. Got something from that. Picking these all kind of new grants to build it back up. They needed a grant writer that's honest. Someone who's going to watch the money and distribute it correctly. They have been robbed enough. So true. So true. Man, I'm glad we was able to come and get these interviews from Mayor Gardner along with Chief Knight. Y'all stay tuned, man. The Big Y'all J45 Live Morning Show. Live. We always
It's real.
raw and uncut news.